Here we go.
All right, we are hot. I'm gonna try to give you a good intro.
Yeah,
I will
don't
try to be
overdo it.
as serious as possible, and I'm gonna look at
I
the
don't think
lens
this is
now.
gonna go the way you're thinking.
I don't know. I don't know. This is from creating a local fan base to building various incarnations of arenas all across the Garden State to being one of the longest running premier in or out of the calendar year independent promotional federations, on top of being one of the most polarizing people in independent wrestling as an individual. There is truly no one from promoter to worker like Mike Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, the following conversation is scheduled for one fall, and this is the person who trained me, Mike Morgan. Good evening.
Good evening, Cheyenne. Thank you for that wonderful intro.
Thank you. Why don't you cut the sarcasm? Anyway, so this is well, first of all, this is a terrible idea. Second of all, I want to
It
thank you
was
so
your
much
idea anyway.
for well, that's why it sucked. That's why I'm gonna get yelled at about it. I'm admitting it before Will says, "The fuck are you doing?" Um,
Go
so I want to ask all the hot questions real quick. Let's get right into it. Are you broke?
ahead, bro. Am I what?
Are you broke?
No, I'm not broke.
Did you stop
Well,
running
wait a minute.
shows?
What is that
Did you
about all
stop
these
running
rumors?
shows? Did you stop running shows because you're scared of other promoters?
Of course not.
Did you
Of
stop running
course not.
shows because I have failed every task you have given to me?
Of course not. Actually, no, no, no. I didn't stop running because I was broke, like everybody's spreading rumors. I did not. Uh, I was not scared of any promoter. I've never been scared of any promoter. Hell yeah, I'm probably the one that scares a lot of people. But either way,
And that's just
I
your family.
basically opened another business, and I was dedicating time to that business, like people should do. You know how the indies is. Nobody, puts their real time into the business. But I took a year to basically work on my new business and see it flourish. And now that it's established, now I can come back to wrestling where I think I've been needed.
Needed. That's a big statement. I don't want to get on that just yet. I'm about to, but you said to me one time, I I'm one of the few guys that I'm at a point where I don't need wrestling. It's not that I don't love it. I'm always going to love it, but I don't need it. How hard was it for you to accept that? Because you could say that and not believe it, but for
Hmm.
you to openly say, yes, it is my first love. Yes, it is my passion. It's what I care about. But you wouldn't venture otherwise. Was that what you told yourself, or was that what you believed in yourself?
Well, the way I looked at it was I've been doing it, wow, God, almost 30 plus years. In a sense, if you really look at it, I've been doing it for that long. But
Were your first pair of boots made out of concrete?
no, not really. They were
Oh,
actually leather.
okay.
But I
You can curse.
basically
I'm just trying to get a rise out of you.
no, no, no. I'm a changed person. I've come to tone it down a little bit. I mean, not everybody believes that, but especially you. But it was hard to think of not running at first. But then that the business that I've actually established, which we'll go in a little bit more into depth into that, it's basically a part of the wrestling business that
Sure.
I kind of grew into. I always wanted to give a great wrestling show, but also a great experience in a sense of food wise, the appearance of the show. There was a lot of little details that a lot of people don't put no mind to. They just think it's all about what's the square circle and that's it.
Sure.
So I kind of branched out and I mean I don't know if you want me to go into that right now but basically I opened a mobile kitchen, a food truck, basically taking everything that I had done at the shows and basically took it on the road and took a name that was always given to us, not to us, but in a sense that the fans will always say, "Oh, these freaking empanadas, these
Right.
freaking empanadas."
Right.
So we kind of adopted the name the fans given us, and that's what we named the truck. So I kind of took a year to focus on that,
Right.
and that's basically what I've done.
How did you? Because here's the thing that people don't, they might not know or realize. The locker room might know this more than fans. Concessions and food has been a part of the Ace locker room, the Ace shows in particular. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care who you are in the state of New Jersey. Concessions, going to a show and knowing you can actually eat and get a meal beyond a hot dog has been part of the Ace shows since Sip Street, right? A lot of people don't
Yes.
know. A lot of people don't know that. You've told me the Italian sausage, you would just have the rope, cut them up, do subs, the hot dogs, the chicken sandwiches, the burgers.
Mm-hmm.
You could have just done regular griddle stuff. And then all of a sudden, when we get to Wallington, you're like, this is cool, but I got to do something else to stand out with the wrestling. You land on empanadas. How did you get into that? How did you
Well,
decide empanadas? Because that was at a time when food trucks were taking off and
mm-hmm.
a lot of foods in the tri-state area were getting hot. Tacos, wings. We were eating all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, basically, it was more of in Sip Street when we were in Union City and we had the school. It was more of it was a conversation between me, my son, and a couple of the guys that were training. We were always talking about, okay, let's, what are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? And I kind of started thinking about it. It's like, you know what? Maybe that's another reason why fans might be more attentive to come to a show when they can actually get great wrestling action.
Right.
They have a place where they can actually get a meal, not just a boiled hot dog for like 6 hours. It's just like get actual food. So when we moved to the second floor, which was on the left side, I ended up converting the concession more into like a small little kitchen. So it was basically everything was being cooked fresh. It wasn't a burger that was sitting around for a while
Right.
or
Made to
in
order.
a warmer. It was made to order.
Very
Everything
much
was
so.
exactly. So what we tried to evolve the food was basically take a one business and have two separate businesses within one. So it's not like it just happened in Wallington. It was already happening in Union City.
Sure.
So I ended up separating the door, the entrance to the event, and having the concession be its own entity in a sense.
Uh-huh.
So we ended up thinking about how we, as a fan going to a show, what we would like to eat. So that's where the menu started evolving. We went to the sausage and peppers, we went to the burgers, we went to the chicken tenders. So it's basically when we go to, let's say, to an event at a live event, let's say like WWE or whatever, you get this type of food. So I was
Right.
like, everybody shits on, a wrestler's going for a hot dog and to wrestle for a hot dog. We kind of took that to a total different thing and made it into you can get a great meal here at a reasonable price. Plus, you get the show. So you had everything in the building. You didn't have to
Right.
go anywhere.
Because also, like, if you take a look at, even again going back to Union City, you do a 2 hour wrestling show, 2 hour 10-minute show. Then it's like, oh
Hmm.
man, I'm starving. You're lucky if you get a water, a soda, a bag of chips. Then it's like, oh man, I'm starving. At least 90 minutes at the diner or the restaurant, whatever's open, drive through. You
Hmm.
might need to be avoiding that. And it prolongs the trip versus now it's like, I'm good. I'm going to go. I'm going to get my empanadas. I might even get some for the car. I'm going home. I had a good show. It was a good length. And I got fed.
Well, the empanadas started coming out because, again, it's more like a kid stuff. I used to make them for my kids. And I used to do mostly like the ham and cheese ones for my son. And it was like, oh man, I would pay for these. My late son would, came and said. So I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe we should do this at the show. But in Union City, it was a little bit different because in Union City, when we were on Sip Street uh, on the last part of the arena, uh, we were so much into production. We were so much into video editing, and I mean, I mean, you've heard the stories about how we had this big room where we had 4 editing machines and all
Right.
this other stuff. So it was kind of consuming. Every video, every show opened up with an opening video. It was a lot of work. So we never got to that far. We left it. I kind of put it to the side. I mean, don't get me wrong. We had great food, but we didn't go into
It
the
never hit the next level like
specifics.
the roster or the production did.
Yes, we were so busy and consumed with the product and what we were going and what we were doing. So, and then when we went to Wallington, it kind of gave me alleviation. That's when you came in to work with us and you were more hands on. And now the production kind of toned down a little bit. So it was able to, you know, flourish more on other aspects. So when I went into the empanadas was, conversation I had with my, my late son. And I was like, you know what, let me try this. So I've always been pretty good at the kitchen. I've had experience before, so I kind of like started putting stuff together, and it just started taking off really big. So some of the shows were light because I've always said that the numbers are the numbers, and whatever it is, it is. I'm not gonna add fans to seats that they're not there. I don't do that.
Sure.
So what I ended up doing was I started realizing it was like, wow, the food is actually helping cover the bills for the wrestling. So it all became into one thing where one helped the other, and it's like a tag team. We kind of the food would tag in, and the wrestling show would have been doing its money. Then the show would tag in the food, and everybody was making equal money to pay for the building. Because remember, we covered all the expenses in that
Sure.
building completely.
Sure.
It was not just rent. We had all the expenses and
Right.
all the repairs and everything. So
You made an outright statement. You said it with the quickness, and I know you meant it. Wrestling needs you. Why do you say that?
I don't want it to sound like conceited or in any of that aspect of an egotistical thing. I say wrestling needs a person that is not, and this is not a shot at anybody. This is not really coming off in a bad way, but wrestling needs somebody to promote it and love it and let go of all the hate towards everybody else.
Okay.
There's so much hate consuming in indie wrestling
It's true.
that you have one person talking about another person, and then you have workers, and again, this is not a shot at anybody, this is just a lesson learned. It's like having a wife that everybody shits on, but then you still go home with her. Wrestling is our industry. This is
Right.
what we have a passion for. So if you have a passion for wrestling, why are you insulting your brother? Why are you insulting another company, or putting the indies in such a bad light? It's already in a bad light.
Right.
Why are we
Right.
shining an extra light on it? Sometimes what we need to do is keep our comments to ourselves and maybe extend a hand of knowledge to the other person and teach the other person. As you know, I have multiple people that have started running shows that have come out of Ace. And at the beginning, I help them start their businesses. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But then we go into the ego thing where now they forget where they came from.
Right.
And now they want to duplicate what it's unduplicatable. I have I'm not motivated in pro wrestling. I'm inspired by pro wrestling. It's
Wow.
two total different things.
Absolutely.
Pro
Now
go ahead.
we've got Hero Celebration coming up. It's the first
Hmm.
show back in practically 2 years.
No, actually, it's only been a year.
Well, it's an eternity for some of us. How's that?
Oh no, yeah,
Um,
especially when you
um,
are in the middle mix of all the craziness in indies. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You feel better now?
yeah, just a little
Okay.
bit. But it's a
Uh,
lesson learned. Everybody gotta see both sides of the world. you know that I try to run everything at a very consistent pace
Right.
and try to have everything done ahead of time. I don't walk into a building with
So,
what are we going to do?
right,
It's already been spoken for. It's already been written. It's everything is done. Is there changes? Yes, all the time. We got to think on the fly. But when you have a constant and educate every single person that works with you or works for you or works with you or however you want to put it, they have an understanding that they know who they can trust and come in and get an answer from instead of just looking at everybody else like I don't know what to do.
right.
You know.
Now, with that, you make a conscious decision. I want to run. I want to come back. It's not just any show. It's Hero Celebration. It's a show for Mikey. It's a night
Hmm.
that we honor him more than we already do every day for some of us, like myself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Was that deliberate? Because I know, not even you have to believe, like I'm there, I'm in the mix to that extent. Like I
Hmm.
know that on top of the grieving process, which never goes away, then the creative process, like this is toe to toe or even supersedes Crossroads. So creatively, for you to put that pressure on you, are you feeling it right now?
Honestly, I'm surprised that I'm calm. I'll be honest with you. I figured I was going to be stressed out. I figured, you know me, you know how I get. I start, why the fuck did I come back to this thing and blah blah blah. But I try to have an understanding that I'm in a total different mindset and financially, I don't need to be in wrestling. And it's not because oh I'm broke and I just left because I'm broke and I'm waiting for my taxes to come in. No, I've never had an issue with the finance because, as you well know, I've been doing this for 30 plus,
Say,
and I've never
yeah,
used nobody's money to run a show.
right.
It's my money. I do not believe in taking money from anybody else to run a show. This is again, this is not knocking anybody who does it. Everybody has a different way of how they want to run their business. My business is if I lose, I lose. Nobody else needs to lose. Uh,
Now,
go ahead.
were you shocked by the response that the flyer, the date, and the announcement got? Because inside of, I think I counted it in 15 minutes, the sh- the post got like almost 30 shares.
Yes.
That initial post. What was
What,
that?
what was I surprised? In a way, yes, because if you're out of sight, out of mind, in a sense, you're out of the business, or you're out of for 12 months, whatever how many months it was. You kind of have this notion that people forgot. So getting the response that it got, uh, did it surprise me? Yes and no. One, because I know that what we have built. I know that the legacy of Ace, it's something that it's going to be here for a long time after I'm done totally, completely, or I pass, or whatever the question is. It has developed history. There is a lot of history that I don't talk about. That
Sure.
I kind of I haven't. I've never been the type of person to actually take credit for people or to let everybody know who came through my door, or who worked for me, or who didn't work for me, or who knows me, or who doesn't know me. I don't get into all that stuff because I think that's just self enduring to try to get egotistical stuff. I stay grounded, humble. I know how many people I have helped in the industry. I know how many people I've given them their first pro match. I know how many God, I know how many people have surpassed everything and are
Mm.
actually on television right now. Um, but I don't take any of that credit. I let them explain what they want to say about it, of who started, who did, all that aspect of the wrestling business. My job here is to give people an opportunity to work for a company that is going to back them up and it's going to help them better themselves. This is not about my ego. This is not about, it's never been about me. It's never been about, it's always about the young talent that needs a company to say it's okay to make mistakes, but you should have done it this way.
Sure.
And see the growth in people. I think a lot of people just do wrestling just to pat themselves in the back. And again, this whole interview is not about taking shots at anybody. It's just the fact of it. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on social media. Everybody's out to gun out the other one.
Yeah.
Why don't we praise each other for actually succeeding in promoting a show? This is not an easy thing to do. Everybody thinks that you just put a show together and it's easy, it's going to happen. No, it takes time, effort, a lot of energy, a lot of sacrifices to put a show together. And I think instead of knocking each other, which goes back to the same question, why I think wrestling needs Mike Morgan.
So with that, let's just get it out the bag. Let's talk for instances and scenarios that many people are not aware of. Is this a one-off? Like, where are you at? Are you telling me that it's Hero Celebration and you're going to take more time? Are you running monthly? What's the status, or what's the vision?
Well, my idea is it's not a one-off. Definitely not a one-off. But there's going to be some period times where, like I said, I have a different business now also. So both businesses have to work with each other. So what I'm going to do is I have the time now to put into Heroes. It's not that it was planned this way. It just so happened we were supposed to run in January. But then with all the timing and everything that was happening with setting up, and my other business was still fully active, I figured, let me not take from that one,
right,
and let me wait. So it so happened that it ended up being February. So we ended up taking this thing and said, okay, let's just run this show. But no, we already have another date planned out. We're actually looking to get multiple dates so that way we can get everything out in the open in one shot. But I also got to work the schedule out where it doesn't conflict with my other business.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is the biggest takeaway you're looking forward to at this particular Hero Celebration?
What's my big taken out of it?
What are you hoping to take away the most from this one? Because let's talk about the lineage of the event. Of course, Hero Celebration has traditionally been happening in February since Mikey's passing.
Yeah.
It takes place on or around his birthday, usually as close as we can get it. The first one to me is it can never be duplicated. I mean, Jay Lethal, Rob Vegas had a pay-per-view quality match in Jose Marti Academy, Moff and Stockade for one of their first encounters ever. The tribute battle royal had all the emotion. The second one, of course, the tournament featuring, in the finals, Mikey's favorite tag team going one-on-one, and that was the Movement. As emotional as that was. Then you had the tag tournament, and that featured Mikey's favorite tag team coming out on top, Style and Finesse. Of course, we had in Bogota, where Adam Payne won the trophy. Of course, we've had Stockade, Cade Lofbrook, come back to Wallington and take it home, and of course Josh Glide won it in Teaneck when we came back. What are you looking for in this one? Well, the bar is very high.
Yes, but I've also changed the concept of the show. These other events that you're talking about was basically we ran for a cup. It was a Memorial Cup. This year's event, I have decided that I do not want to do a cup. I think it's time to just pick some of the divisions that my son was really passionate about, like the Fight for Fight division, and basically make that match a dedication to him. And I've decided, the main event for this event, which I'm not going to give it out now, but the main event on this show will also be a match that is going to be dedicated to him. My takeaway from the whole event is basically letting people know that I haven't gone anywhere. I never said I was done. I never said I was retired. I don't live on social media posting junk about anybody. You can go back years if you want. You will never get me to basically shit on the industry. I might have my own personal opinions of how people run things, or but I keep that at a level of face to face in a
Right.
sense. I don't think that me going out and posting negative things about people's companies or their or their issues or whatever is going to draw me more money. In true reality, we're in a business that we're supposed to draw money, and everybody wants to get their little cut out of the whole thing. And as a promoter, you have to promote. Your
Right.
job is to promote. Your job is not to badmouth other people. That just makes no sense. And anybody who entertains that type of behavior does not have any respect for the business.
From a roster standpoint, is there anybody in your absence that you've been eyeballing the whole time that you're glad is going to be on the upcoming show?
I mean, I keep an eye on everybody, in a sense. I did try to change a couple of things around. I mean, why beat a dead horse if you're not going to get anything out of it? So I'm changing things around. I'm also using this show to showcase new people and showcase the some of the older guys that been with Ace that know how the system works in this company. And I'm kind of meshing them together and see who shines out of that. I mean, I think this question, if you ask me after the event, I can tell you, well, this guy shined, that guy shined, this guy did
Sure.
this. Right now I'm just playing with a lot of it's like playing chess. I'm trying to see which one is going to shine and which one's not going to shine. And then on the following show, whoever did their best on this event will go to the next event, and then we'll bring more people in and go around until we built a solid roster. But I'm going a different way this time,
Now,
overall with the company.
at this point in your career as a promoter,
Hmm.
what goals do you have left?
Wow. I mean, 30 plus years. You know how much stuff I've done?
Right.
You know how many people I've shit. Right now, this is the only one I can tell you. I want to have fun. I want to be able to produce an event and have fun doing the event, and also give some young guys an actual good advice, not bring them into the drama of wrestling. Enjoy the ride, because this ride, I mean, to be 30 plus years in this business, it's not easy. I mean, I've taken two breaks my whole entire career as a wrestler, as a promoter, 2 years. This one that just passed, and 1 year when I ended up getting custody of my kids and I had to go to court and do that thing. But that's another story for another day. Because some of the people know I raised my kids on my own, my first two. So when I ended up taking those years off, it just gives you a chance to reset and come up with better ideas, better
Right.
solutions to stuff. I just want to give somebody a chance to come out and shine and not be having to kiss anybody's ass to do it. That's one of my main rules. Don't come buttering me up. You know how some guys are like sir, and I don't need you to serve me. I work for a living. All I want is people to come in, give the best performance they can give, and I'll open doors that I can open for them. I don't promise anybody nothing. I've never promised anybody a tryout. I've never promised anybody none of that stuff. I am a firm believer that whatever you get in the wrestling business is because you earned it.
The one guy from Sip Street that you wish was still around on the roster.
Wow. You know how many? Wow. Jesus Christ. Shit, I wish I had Jay Lethal all the time, but that's a different story for another day. Um, that was on Sixth Street that I don't have on the roster now. Not a lot of people know that Eddie Kingston used to work for me on a regular.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows, some of it, uh, AJ Lee came out of Ace. I mean, again, I'm not the type of person. Right now, I'm telling you these names, and I feel weird because I'm not the type of person to be name dropping on what the people that have come through the building. Uh, Man, I'll be honest with you. I think I can call anybody right now and get them on the show. I
Okay.
can legitimately pick up the phone and call somebody and instantly have have that person come back and do a show.
The one person that you hope to book in this incarnation of Ace.
Hope to book.
And it could be a name on television or an indie name.
I've always wanted to work with and always wanted to bring in, but scheduling conflict never let us come into terms. I have a great admire, and I kind of admire Sean Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that old school mentality. He's got
Yeah.
that old school way about himself. I've always tried to see if I can work around it to get him on the shows. Multiple times we've talked, but we couldn't get it. Would love to bring him in for this year. Um, and then I'm just right now. I'm looking at more of the younger kids coming into the business. Female, male, whatever. I'm just trying to see who is the next breakout star to come out. Because I know everybody says, "Oh, there's no more draws in the industry." Well, if everybody would focus on making draws instead of talking about negative bullshit, I mean, maybe that's the aspect of it.
The worst year Ace ever had.
Oh, we've had multiple. Jesus Christ. I mean, let me put it to you this way: pro wrestling is like a seesaw. You go up and you go down. Best years were in Union City. Everybody talks about it. Everybody, raves about it. We had some real low when we went from losing the building in Union City to when we got to Wallington and dealt with all that drama in that building.
Well, you traveled to a lot of towns after 2011 before you finally
Mhm.
set up in Wallington.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's just one of those things that, trying to get people were so used to going to Union City. We had a set fan base, and a lot of them were just from the area, a lot from New York, and we were just one bus stop away from New York from 42nd Street. As everybody talks about how you just take one ride, get off the Lincoln, and you're right there at the building. So there's been years where we've had some rough go at it where we're like, oh shit, I mean, are we going to be open next week or is this it? And thank God, I've built enough relationships in the business that when I need to call on help or when they want to call me, the situation is, I'm in. I I didn't call. It's they never forget what you do for them.
Would you ever go back to being an on-screen character for Ace?
I've been thinking about it, to be honest with you. I feel I feel like I got one last run as me and Danny. We did the whole entire Four Aces, and it was a great experience to be able to work with great talent. We put an amazing faction together, and I've been thinking about it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure if that spot belongs to somebody, but if I see somebody else needs that spot and then it's not my spot anymore. You know what I'm saying? I got to worry about more of the talent and not make myself the centerpiece of it. At that
Right.
time, we needed that centerpiece. Not that Moth couldn't speak. It was more of just shaking the foundation of the company to the point where everybody just was like, "Whoa, what's we did so many different things." I mean, I think Danny can elaborate more on that. Where Wyatt can also elaborate a lot on more on the four aces. It was a team effort. I've never taken credit for anything that has happened in Ace. Is like, oh, it's my idea. It's a team effort. We had a meeting every
Right.
week where we sat down and we spoke storylines and we spoke ideas and we would shoot ideas and we will vote on ideas. And there was multiple times I got outvoted, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just do it. I mean, because again, if you take the aspect of the business and make it about the business, the company, the workers, then it just can't be my way or the highway. It was always what was best as a production, as a storyline, as everything together. What was the best base for us to move forward? And that's the way we ran it. And that's the way it's going to end up full circle back to this is we're trying to base this run more on storyline, not just matches. I think a lot of people just doing matches just to say they're doing matches. Not everything has to start at 7:30 in the evening and finish at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes you can take three shows to get to one end,
Right.
and that's how you get a following. Get people invested in the stories. Get people invested in the characters, in the idea of what you're trying to portray and what you're trying to sell.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong;
Well,
it's hard.
it is, especially
It's
when
hard, especially when you got 14 different companies using the same guys, and everybody
that
want to
and
be on every show.
that's the
But I
problem that
get that.
everybody's facing, including themselves.
That's where see, but that's where the problem is. Because if you have that problem as a promoter, then maybe you should go get a younger worker that has not blossomed yet into that aspect and say, you know what, I'm going to teach you as much as I know about the business and have you learn how to cut promos, how to perform, how to tell a story. Then it becomes a total different thing. But when you're just doing, well, it's a first time ever, because we went through a couple of years where everybody was so concerned about doing first time ever matches. And some of these first time ever matches sucked
Yeah.
because as a promoter, it's not just throwing matches together, it's knowing who would mesh with who, learning who the person is and what the character is and who he can mesh with in a way where you can get a good storyline out of it.
Right.
Not too many people can work everybody.
True. It's very, very true. I mean, I just felt that you needed a platform to kind of clear the air of some of the rumor and innuendo, if you will.
Oh man,
Um,
that's that little of a part of what I've heard. I've heard so much stuff that it's sometimes I'm like, where the hell did they get that information from?
yeah.
But again, you know me, the more people speculate, the more they keep talking about you, the more important you continue to be.
Right.
I'm not going to tell somebody, oh no, I'm not broke. Think that I'm broke. I mean, we all go through financial difficulties and and stuff like that. We all go through that, but everybody tends to need an excuse of why somebody is doing something or why they stop running. I stopped running because I needed to build an everyday business to continue to pay for my personal stuff. And it was a dream that like I said, I spoke with my late son 15 years before I actually made it come through. So I'm the type of person that if I promise you today, I didn't promise you I was going to deliver it today. What I said was I'm going to make sure you get X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It might take me years, but my word is my bond, and that's always going to be the way I run things.
Very, very well said. These Freaking Empanadas on all forms of social media at These Freaking Empanadas on TikTok, Instagram, and on the Facebook page. Of course, Ace Wrestling, Facebook.com/Ace Wrestling, Ace Wrestling on Instagram, and Ace Wrestling on Twitter. We are looking for it. We're getting ready to get back in the saddle again for Hero Celebration, an evening to honor Mike Morgan Jr. in Teanneck, New Jersey, Saturday, February the 3rd. Any closing comments, Mr. Morgan?
No, it's give us a shot. Come down, check it out, get some great food because we are going to have the full blown concession. We're going to have all the empanadas. There's about we're trying to work it the menu out to see what we're going to do because right now we got about 13 different flavors and I don't know if we're going to be able to cater all 13, but we're going to get the best one.
The dessert.
The dessert. You're still on that, huh? Yeah. Yeah. We'll try to figure that one out for you. A little, cinnamon sugar in there and try to get them in there for you.
And when they sell, I don't want to cut.
I know. It's just, you just want your name on them.
Just a thank you.
No, it's not an ego thing. It's just, have your name on them.
Just a thank you. No, it's not an ego thing at all. It's not at all an ego thing. Not
at all.
Nothing about
just a small award.
Just a small acknowledgement.
Just a little one. But and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more surprises, just like what we basically put out today with Jay Lethal coming in. There's a lot more people that were mixing things around and I'm doing a little business here and there and trying to negotiate certain things. But definitely it's not a one-off. I want to get that again cleared. It's not a one-off. I might not be at all the events. That's just another thing that we can put out there. But I got a great crew, like the interviewer over here that has been under the learning tree for 10 years and deserves his due to run. We also have Will Wyeth coming back. He's also going to be part of the administrative part of the shows. And even if I'm not there, in a sense, which I plan to be there for all the events, but if it comes to that we have a scheduling conflict, then I have capable people that will be able to continue to run the company exactly the way it's been taught to be run.
Any fat nasty bastard sightings? Any long hair?
Yes. He's part of the administrators too. F&B is coming back. Yeah. Also, he's going to be long. He's just going to be a fat bastard in the back.
Long.
Yeah, we have him coming. Like I said, we're gonna. I'm preparing an administrative group that it's going to be able to continue to give the fans an entertaining show, and also I'm going to set up a crew on its own to actually run the concession. So that way the shows will not be affected if I'm doing an event or a festival or whatever it is that we do with our food truck. It's not going to hinder neither or. So
right.
The shows will continue to be run. And stay tuned because I have other ideas that I'm thinking of possibly doing. So there is going to be some, maybe maybe a training facility. I mean, right now we're just keeping everything open to see where we go from here. But definitely February the 3rd. Trust me what I'm telling you. From opening to closing, you're going to get an amazing show. I am very selective of who I'm bringing into the shows. I just don't bring anybody, and I don't believe in just selling tickets to get on shows. I have a total different concept when it comes to that. Your hard-earned money is you're going to get your money's worth on an Ace show.
There it is. I'm sold, and so should you. Ace Nation and all the Cheyenniacs, we want to thank you so much. The following conversation has been scheduled for one fall. This is Mike Morgan, and this has been The Voice, Cheyenne Ortiz.
Thank you, guys.
I already signed off.
Good.